Hi, my name is Professor Silver, and in today's class, we'll break down the complete history of Iris's Excadrill, detailing all his battles, storylines, and character development. Iris met Excadrill as a Drilbur while growing up in the Village of Dragons. Drilbur bullied Iris's friends and covered Iris in mud, so she challenged Drilbur to battle. After 9 straight losses, Iris gained the advantage, bounced off Metal Claw, and kicked Drilbur into a bed of vines. Rather than let Drilbur fall to his demise, Iris narrowly saved him and became his best friend. Iris and Drilbur grew into such an unstoppable team that they jumped at the chance to enter a local battle competition. To prepare for the tournament, they battled a plethora of Pokemon and trained in the mountains. On the competition's first day, Drilbur evolved into Excadrill and pummeled a Drayden. Because Excadrill's evolution and victory filled Iris with confidence, she challenged Opaloosa gym leader Drayden.
I accept your challenge.
Hoping for their 100th consecutive win, Iris used Excadrill opposite Haxorus. Unfortunately, in stark contrast to his previous battles, Excadrill was utterly ineffective. After Haxorus tanked Metal Claw, Fury Swipes, Dig, and Drill Run, he easily won with Rock Smash. The loss so devastated Excadrill that he retreated into himself and stopped following Iris's orders. No matter what Iris said or how many years flew by, Excadrill refused to listen. While Iris attended the Opaloosa Academy, received Axew, started her Pokemon journey, and joined Ash, Excadrill closed himself off emotionally and lived totally unresponsive. He ignored Iris's order to find Ash in Dancing with the Ducklet Trio, refused to battle Bianca's Minccino and Emolga in the new Volt Switch, ignored Swoobat in Emolga the Irresistible, and didn't care that a Scolipede kidnapped Axew in the Bloom is on Axew. Excadrill revealed himself only after being bombarded by Emolga's Attract and threatened by a wild Scolipede. Opposite Scolipede, Excadrill deflected Toxic, used Drill Run, and triumphed with the well-timed toss. It delighted Iris to see Excadrill happy again, but he retreated into himself at battle's end. Despite Excadrill's coldness, Iris hoped to one day mend their broken relationship. Though Excadrill refused to fight under Iris's banner, she forced his claw on Iris and Excadrill against the Dragon Buster by tricking George's Beartic into making the first strike. Once awake, Excadrill ignored Iris, tore through Icicle Crash, dodged Ice Beam with Dig, and launched Drill Run. Unfortunately, Beartic won out with Rock Smash, the same move Haxorus used to claim victory. While Iris lamented the loss, Silent helped her realize that Excadrill's disobedience stemmed from a lack of faith in her skill as a trainer, rather than from a hatred of losing like she had originally assumed. That night, Excadrill accepted Iris's apology for not understanding his feelings during the battle with Haxorus. Iris's apology gave Excadrill the motivation he needed to break free from his shell, start practicing, and learn Focus Blast. To prove her dedication, Iris stayed up with Excadrill all night and helped him master the new attack. By morning, Iris and Excadrill had worked through all their turmoil and reunited as a team. As a test to their new union's strength, Iris and Excadrill challenged Georgia and Beartic to a rematch. Beartic overcame Metal Claw with Slash, but Excadrill dodged Icicle Crash, did major damage with Dig, clobbered Beartic with Focus Blast, and pushed forward with Drill Run. Though Beartic stopped Drill Run with Ice Beam, Excadrill broke free and shot off Focus Blast. Excadrill nearly fell to Icicle Crash, but he held strong and put all his energy into one last Drill Run. Because Beartic fought back with an equally powerful Rock Smash, the battle ended in a draw. Not only did the battle's outcome thrill Excadrill and Iris, but it also ushered in Excadrill's regular usage in battles throughout the series. At the Club Battle Finals and Club Battle Finale A Hero's Outcome, Excadrill made up for years of lost battling by giving Ash's Pikachu more than he can handle. He shrugged off Thunderbolt, let loose Drill Run, grabbed Pikachu, sent him flying, and fired off Metal Claw. In retaliation, Pikachu shot back with Iron Tail, blocked Focus Blast, spun away from Dig, and did major damage with Iron Tail. Proving himself Iris's ace, Excadrill kept fighting and won out with Drill Run, Dig, and Focus Blast. Excadrill left the competition with his head held high, likely knowing that he had finally redeemed his first loss. To further solidify his newfound loyalty to Iris, Excadrill provided immense utility support. He dug Iris out of a cave and got to catch a Roggenrola, tried to pull Iris out of quicksand and Purloin Sweet or Sneaky, freed Pikachu and Axew in battle for the underground, fought the forces of nature in stopping the rage of legends, thwarted Team Rocket in Crisis at the Chargestone Cave, and rocked a Wig in battling the Boufflant. Emolga's Volt Switch forced Excadrill into battle against an Emboar in the black and white Victini films, but Excadrill received an instant DQ as the battle was meant to be a one-on-one. It wasn't until the Club Explosion begins and Search for the Club Ultimate that Excadrill returned in proper battling form. Opposite Burgundy's Dewott, Excadrill shrugged off Ice Beam, dug underground, took major damage from Water Pulse, and traded Focus Blast for Razor Shell. He muscled through Dewott's Scowl Chops and amped up the intensity with Metal Claw, but Dewott retaliated with revenge and tried to seize victory with another Razor Shell. Dashing Dewott's hopes, Excadrill unleashed Drill Run, overpowered Ice Beam with Focus Blast, landed Dig, and won with another Drill Run. Excadrill tried to replicate his success in round 2 of the Clipsplosion and Clipsplosion of Excitement, but was no match for Montgomery's Throw. Throw intercepted Drill Run with Circle Throw, countered Dig with Super Power, and won with Seismic Toss. Despite losing, Excadrill refused to let himself spiral into another depression and soldiered onward. He trained with Axew, returned to the Village of Dragons, calmed a crazed Hydreigon, and accepted a rematch with Drayden's Haxorus. During the battle in Drayden vs Iris, past, present, and future, Excadrill opened with Metal Claw, shot off Dig, countered Rock Smash, and produced a double knockout with Drill Run. The battle proved how far Iris and Excadrill had come in their journey. Not only had they grown physically stronger, but also strategically and emotionally. Excadrill's stellar performance confirmed Drayden's belief that Iris would one day succeed him as Opaloosa gym leader. Having finally gotten redemption against Haxorus and proven himself a world-class battler, Excadrill continued his quest to get ever stronger. He trained with Ash's Boldore in the Name's End, beat up a Plasma Grunt's Seviper in Saving Braviary, clobbered a Plasma Grunt's Muk in Secrets from Out of the Fog, protected Rotom and To Catch a Rotom, helped save the Pokemon Harbor Patrol and the Pokemon Harbor Patrol, and sank a cruise ship in Farewell Unova, setting sail for new adventures. After Iris finished her Decalore Islands adventures, left Ash, and visited Claire and Johto, she used Excadrill and the rest of her Pokemon to dominate Unova and make herself the region's champion. It's unknown how Excadrill performed in Iris's many battles or which Pokemon he beat on the way to the throne, but I imagine he was just as helpful as Iris's Haxorus and Dragonite. Excadrill missed out on Iris's return in Journeys, but we can always hold hope that he'll one day return in the future. Until then, let's get to the battle record. Excadrill beat Iris, Fraxure, Sandile, Watchog, Darumakka, Druddigan, Wild Scolipede, Ash's Pikachu, Burgundy's Dewott, a Grunt's Seviper, and a Grunt's Muk. He lost to Iris, Drayden's Haxorus, George's Beartic, Montgomery's Throw, and a Wild Thundurus. Excadrill tied with George's Beartic and Drayden's Haxorus. Over the course of the series, Excadrill used Dig, Drill Run, Focus Blast, Fury Swipes, Metal Claw, and Mud Slap. Even though Excadrill provided immense diversity to Iris's team and proved himself an immeasurably fun character, I can't help but wonder why Iris has a ground type as her starter rather than a dragon. As a dragon master in training, it would have made more sense for Iris to start off with Axew, Dratini, or Druddigan. I don't feel Excadrill contributed well to Iris's goal of being a dragon master, but he played a huge role in her character development and showed her skill as a trainer better than any other Pokemon. Excadrill's strength seems much more deserved than Dragonite and Haxorus's, as we got to see his origin story, evolution, and character development all take place on screen. Excadrill's narrative journey wrapped upon tying with Haxorus, so it'll be interesting to see what the writers have in store for his character if he ever returns in a significant capacity. And with that, class is adjourned. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you're never late, and for extra credit, like this video and let me know your thoughts on Iris's Excadrill. Until next time, catch you later.